Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Now today I am just going to go through a number of items that I have discovered tonight on having a basic um, purge of stuff, some of which has either got to go to the tip or be sold on eBay or whatever, or a car boot sale. So amongst these hidden treasures, uh, I've found an eclectic mix of vinyl. Um, some, I don't know. Do you know what? I don't even know if any of it. Um, well, it's eclectic. You're either like it, you're either a fan of some of this stuff or you're just not, basically. But amongst all of this vinyl, I did find um, an item that I've been after for a while. I'd forgotten I'd got it, but I've got to be honest, I'm really, really pleased that it's turned up. So I will bring that, sometime later on. But first of all, let me share with you some of these hidden treasures, or maybe hidden rubbish, who knows. But the first one is a 12-inch single of Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You. And it's a 45 disco mix. And how you can turn that song into a disco hit or mix or song or whatever, I just do not know. To be honest, I find it hard to listen to the song per se, never mind having a 12-inch version of it, which has also been disco-fied. But anywho, it is. So, yes, and it's in absolutely perfect condition, this vinyl. So, yeah, I don't know where it's appeared from, but it certainly wasn't one of mine. But anywho, yeah, Stevie Wonder, I Just Called to Say I Love You, containing the famous bass line that goes boom, 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 boom. Things like that. It's quite realistic, wasn't it? But anywho, the amount of times I've heard that bass line being played by pub performers is just, countless. Back in the day, most of the performers I heard would have that actual that bass backing playing, and somehow they got through the whole set of songs, not only playing this, um, I Just Called to Say I Love You, but also other songs without actually changing that bass line. So anyway, that's how they did it. I don't know. That's vinyl number one. Um, let's have a bit of a nose through here. Now then, another one that was discovered was 1978's A Single Man by Elton John, looking rather dashing in his boots. There's sort of, I wouldn't say they're high heels, but anyway, they're they're certainly they're heeled boots anyway. Let's just say that. So there you go, and there he is with his top hat and his cane. Now, a lot of this album, I got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Elton. I don't know much about this album, but the songs I do know are Part Time Love and Song for Guy. Two good songs. It's got the obligatory gatefold sleeve that we used to have in the 70s back in the day. So there you go. So A Single Man by Elton John. The next one I found is, as I say, some of these are quite generic, really, but one I did find, and I know, and I am convinced this belonged to my late mum, actually, and it is the original Rodgers and Hammerstein's soundtrack of The Sound of Music, which is which is from 1965. Now I know she used to like this. I don't know. I mean, I've tried to watch it and I just cannot get through it. So anywho, so yeah, The Sound of Music. Now, yeah, apparently it's a red seal one, whatever that means. And it's, yeah, RCA, RCA Victor, I think, possibly. Um, so it's in quite good nick, actually. It's obviously not been played a lot. And it has a booklet in it. about Rodgers and Hammerstein, a tribute to them, the stars of the film. There you go. Sorry, guys, if you can see that. Yeah, it's just got musical highlights and all of that sort of thing. So yeah, so that is all original. I don't think it's a 78 actually. It feels way too flexible, and I think normally it will say anyway on the disc. But I am convinced that belonged to my late mum. So that sound of music. Yeah, quite pleased I found that actually. You know, it's good for a good sentimental memory, really. Just a couple of others. I found again. This is not mine, and it is "You Don't Bring Me Flowers" by Neil Diamond. Well, sorry, Neil. No, I don't bring you flowers, and I've got no intention of doing so. But it contains a duet. "You Don't Bring Me Flowers" with Barbara Streisand, that well-known songstress. So yeah, so it's a collection of obviously Neil Diamond's songs here. There's some of them that I don't know. I don't dislike the guy. I think he's done some good stuff. It's got "Forever in Blue Jeans," good song, like that. It's okay. So yeah, Neil Diamond. Um, Not really got a lot to say about the next one, but it's basically just a collection of Simon Garfunkel's greatest hits, on vinyl. But it's something obviously you can pick these up anywhere really. It's got everything really: Mrs. Robinson, The Boxer, Sound of Silence, I Am a Rock, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, just a generic collection of Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits. There's no real fanfare about it. Yeah, just on the CBS record label, basically. Pressed, made in England. So there you go. When we used to do that sort of thing. So yeah, nothing really much to say about it except it's obviously the famous duo that we know. Couple of it. Well, I think they're obscure, really. This is Ralph McTell revisited. Now there you go. There's Ralph sitting lazily under a tree. You just think back in the day, the most unlikeliest people could make it as pop stars and rock stars. You hadn't got to look like I don't know. I'm not saying I've got nothing to say, bad about Ralph McTell, but you know what I mean. People didn't have to look like sort of I don't know some fantastic blimmin' model or whatever. You just were who you were. So this has got things like "Streets of London," "Factory Girl," "Last Train and Ride." Again, I'm not particularly familiar with this guy. I remember the "Streets of London," and I've got to be honest. As much as I like the "Streets of London," I do prefer the version that was covered by the Dead Kennedys. No, not the Dead Kennedys. Sorry, the Anti-Nowhere League. With the infamous A side, but they did a great version of "Streets of London." I really did like that, and I did prefer it actually, if I'm honest. But anyway, Ralph McTell revisited. I didn't even know we'd visit him before, but there you go. And the last of these vinyls is, I mean, I remember hearing this guy on Radio 2 back in the 80s, really, and he did have actually a number of hits. And it is a guy called Peter Skellen who seems to have fallen through the time tunnel into the 20s or 30s, because that's the sort of style of music he was playing. So on side two, he had quite a hit with this in the UK called "Love Is the Sweetest Thing," which was a bit like "Love is the sweetest thing." So it was, sort of harking back to those the golden ages of 20s, 30s, etc. Not particularly my cup of tea. I do remember it, but anyway, there you go. This is Skellen, apparently it's called, featuring the Grimethorpe Colliery Band. Now imagine that, the Grimethorpe Colliery Band. You'd never, that shows you how old this is, So you still had colliery bands until obviously the infamous Margaret Thatcher decided to close all the coal mines, and ended up all these people being put out of work as well. So this was from 1978. So yeah, there you go, 78. We still had coal mines back then. Right, now then, very quickly, the item that I discovered amongst all of this other stuff was, and is, excuse me if my big face ends up in the screen too much. As you can see, it's a big square box with the Apple logo on and the Beatles title at the bottom. And it is, now I've got a sticker here which says 191 out of 500. So it's obviously a limited item. And if you bear with me a moment, I'll try and get myself positioned correctly because this weighs a flipping ton, I tell you. There you go. This is, sorry about that in the camera, now this is a plaque, an enamel plaque of the Beatles Revolver album. I remember buying it, and you know what, I was absolutely taken with this. And as you're probably aware from my other videos, I really, really love that album. It's my favourite album, but I love the artwork. And I do like the Beatles, as you probably know. But to discover that after all this time was absolutely fantastic. And to know that it was, 1 of 500 was pretty good. I mean, I don't know how much these things are worth, to be honest, if they're worth anything, or if they're worth, a couple of pounds or whatever. But certainly, in terms of having a piece of memorabilia like that, is it's nice to have it, worth something or not. I probably wouldn't sell it anyway, but to be honest, to have found it was an absolute dream. So there you go, a number of vinyls, hidden treasures, or maybe they're not hidden treasures. Some with sentimental value, others, they're just there. So thank you for watching, and I will see you hopefully soon. Take care, folks. Bye bye.